Imagine holding a symbol so powerful that ancient priests swore it could open the gates of life and death. A symbol feared by kings, hunted by secret societies, and hidden for thousands of years. That symbol is the Egyptian Ankh, and its secrets may still be alive today. Beneath the sands of Egypt, sealed for millennia, lies a chamber that some say still hums with energy. On its walls, one symbol repeats over and over, the Ankh. Was it a promise of eternal life, or a warning never meant to be broken? Every empire falls, every king dies. But what if one civilization held the key to escaping death itself? The Egyptians called it the Ankh, and some believe its secret has been carried in silence all the way to our world today. In 1922, a researcher touched an ancient artifact in a hidden tomb. Witnesses say he screamed, froze, and vanished. The only thing left behind was a carving of the Ankh. Was this myth, or the last warning of a power humanity cannot control? Look closely. Hidden in architecture, fashion, even corporate logos, you'll see the same ancient mark, the Ankh. Coincidence? Or proof that a forgotten power still shapes our world from the shadows? Birth, death, rebirth. Every culture feared it, but only Egypt claimed to master it. Their answer? The Ankh. Some say it wasn't just a symbol, it was the mechanism of eternity itself. And if true, it changes everything we believe about life. Hook 7. The Awakening Prophecy. Egyptian texts warned of a time when the Ankh would awaken again, when the world was on the edge of collapse. Wars, chaos, disease. Does this sound familiar? Maybe the prophecy isn't ancient history. Maybe it's unfolding right now. For centuries, a silent group has guarded the Ankh's secret, hidden in rituals, codes, and whispers across history. From pharaohs to Freemasons, the torch has passed. And now, evidence suggests the Ankh's final keepers are closer than we think. In laboratories today, researchers are slowing aging, extending cells, bending the rules of life itself. But what if this isn't progress, but rediscovery? What if they're reviving a secret Egypt hid thousands of years ago in the Ankh? What if the Ankh isn't a gift, but a lock? What if its true purpose was not to grant life, but to hold something back? And what happens if that door, sealed for 5,000 years, is finally opened? In the golden sands of Egypt, where time itself seems to stand still, one symbol has endured across thousands of years, the Ankh. Known as the key of life, or the cross of eternity, this ancient emblem has fascinated scholars, artists, and spiritual seekers alike. But what secrets lie hidden within its looping form? Was it merely a symbol, or was it a code, a doorway into a deeper truth about existence? Today, we embark on a cinematic journey to unravel the timeless mystery of the Egyptian Ankh. Imagine stepping into the shadow of towering pyramids, the desert wind brushing against your skin as hieroglyphs whisper silent stories. Among them, the Ankh appears repeatedly, etched into temple walls, carved into statues, clasped in the hands of gods and pharaohs. It is everywhere. Its shape is deceptively simple, a loop rising above a T-shaped cross. Yet its meaning stretches beyond the ordinary, reaching into the divine. To the ancient Egyptians, this was not art, it was power. The Ankh was never just an image, it was a living philosophy. At its heart, it symbolized life, both the physical life that courses through our veins and the eternal life awaiting beyond death. Pharaohs clutched it as if holding the very breath of the gods. Deities extended it toward humans, granting vitality and protection. This was more than faith. It was a belief that life could be channeled, held, and given through this sacred key. But where did the Ankh originate? Historians suggest it may have been inspired by the knot of a sandal strap, an everyday object elevated into divine meaning. Others argue it represents the union of male and female, an eternal cycle of creation. Some even believe it was a map of the Nile, the life-giving river that sustained Egypt itself. Its ambiguity is part of its allure, inviting endless interpretations and myths. To the common people, the Ankh was a promise. It whispered of continuity, of crops returning, families thriving, and spirits enduring beyond the tomb. In funerary art, the Ankh was often placed near the lips of the deceased, as though the gods were breathing eternity into them. Imagine standing in a dark chamber, torchlight flickering across carved walls, where the Ankh shone as a beacon of everlasting hope. The power of the Ankh was not confined to temples and tombs. Priests wore it during sacred rituals, carrying it as a channel between realms. Amulets shaped like the Ankh were worn by both rich and poor, as if every heartbeat could be safeguarded by its form. To wear it was to invite divine energy, to carry a fragment of immortality close to one's chest. It was faith made tangible. Even today, the Ankh resonates far beyond the deserts of Egypt. Modern seekers adopt it as a symbol of spiritual awakening, while artists weave it into designs as a mark of mystery. From tattoos to jewelry, its presence endures, a reminder that the quest for meaning never fades. It's not just an ancient relic, it's a living emblem of humanity's eternal longing for life, continuity, and purpose. What makes the Ankh so enduring is its simplicity, a loop, a line, a cross. Yet in that simplicity lies infinity. Unlike symbols that fade with culture, the Ankh has survived millennia, traveling across continents carried by conquerors, explorers, and dreamers. It has become universal, transcending Egypt to become a global icon of vitality and eternity. The question remains, how did a single symbol outlast entire civilizations? The answer may lie in its adaptability. The Ankh was never frozen in meaning. It could be life, rebirth, fertility, or the union of opposites. It could belong to gods, yet also to ordinary men and women. Like life itself, it shifted and evolved, resisting confinement. This fluidity gave it immortality, not just in stone, but in the human imagination. The Ankh is eternal because it belongs to everyone. As we step deeper into its history, prepare to uncover the untold layers of the Ankh's journey, from its divine origins in Egyptian temples to its rebirth in modern culture. Each chapter reveals not just a symbol, but a mirror reflecting our own longing for meaning. Stay with me, because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about this mysterious key of life. Deep within the heart of ancient Egypt, the Ankh was never casually placed. Every carving, every inscription was deliberate. Imagine priests in dimly lit sanctuaries, chanting hymns as they carved the symbol with unwavering precision. It wasn't just art, it was ritual. To chisel the Ankh into stone was to embed life itself into eternity, ensuring that the gods would always walk among the people. But why were the gods so often depicted handing this symbol to pharaohs alone? Was it truly a gift, or a reminder of who held the keys to immortality? Look closer at temple walls, and you'll notice a pattern. The Ankh appears most often in the hands of gods like Ra, Isis, and Osiris, the guardians of light, magic, and the afterlife. These deities held the Ankh outward, extending it toward mortals. It was as if they were bestowing a cosmic breath, a force that bridged the mortal and the eternal. This was not just symbolic, it was instructional. The Egyptians believed that without divine favor, life itself could not continue. The Ankh wasn't a decoration, it was divine currency. But here lies the suspenseful mystery. Was the Ankh more than belief? Some researchers whisper of its potential as an ancient device, a tool of energy, a conduit of power. Theories suggest it represented advanced knowledge lost to time, perhaps tied to the stars, the cycles of the sun, or hidden sciences buried within Egyptian temples. Could the Ankh have been more than metaphor? Was it a technology disguised as religion? The possibility lingers like a shadow across history, daring us to look deeper. Imagine a pharaoh, seated upon his throne, clutching the Ankh as if it were a scepter of command. This was more than symbolism. It was authority made visible. To the Egyptian people, the pharaoh was not merely a ruler, but a divine intermediary. Holding the Ankh reinforced his godlike status. Yet it also raised a haunting question. If life itself could be handed from God to king, who among mortals truly owned the right to eternity? Was eternal life a privilege or a carefully guarded secret of the few? The tombs whisper unsettling clues. Within the Valley of the Kings, the Ankh is painted not as an accessory, but as a companion. It hovers near sarcophagi, etched into canopic jars, hidden in amulets placed upon mummified chests. To the Egyptians, death was not an ending but a passage. The Ankh was their lantern in the dark, their ticket to a new dawn beyond the grave. Yet, this faith carried an eerie undertone. What if eternity was not guaranteed? What if the Ankh was the gatekeeper, deciding who passed through and who did not? There are also darker interpretations. Some scholars suggest that the Ankh symbolized not just life, but control over it. In a world where gods decided the fate of empires, the Ankh may have been a reminder of mortality's fragility. In the wrong hands, this symbol could shift from sacred blessing to silent warning. To hold it was to possess immense power, but also immense responsibility. Did the ancient priests wield it as a gift of hope, or as a chain binding humanity to divine will? Suspense deepens when we consider the shape itself. The loop above the cross. What did it signify? Was it the womb of creation, the rising sun, the gateway to another dimension? Some say the loop is the cycle of eternity, while the cross represents the earthly plane. Together, they form a map of existence, the heavens above, the world below, and the eternal cycle binding them. Could it be that the Ankh was more than a symbol? It was a cosmic diagram, a coded message etched for those brave enough to understand. Archaeologists still debate, yet one thing is undeniable. Wherever the Ankh appeared, mystery followed. From the crypts of Abydos to the temples of Karnak, it was everywhere and nowhere, its meaning shifting like desert sands. Each discovery uncovers another layer of enigma. Was it fertility? Was it resurrection? Or was it the Egyptian way of hinting at truths they dared not write outright? Secrets can be hidden not in what is said, but in what is left unsaid. The Ankh may be the greatest unspoken secret of them all. And yet, despite centuries of study, the Ankh continues to resist full explanation. Every theory opens more doors than it closes. Perhaps that is its greatest power. It forces us to question. It demands curiosity. It challenges the arrogance of certainty. For in chasing its meaning, we uncover not just the story of Egypt, but the deeper story of humanity's eternal hunger for life beyond death. The Ankh, in silence, whispers the greatest suspense of all. What if eternity is real? As we journey deeper, we must brace ourselves. For the Ankh's tale does not remain trapped in ancient walls. It escapes, weaving its way into hidden cults, secret societies, and modern mysteries. From dusty tombs to Renaissance art, from ancient rituals to modern fashion, the Ankh's story stretches far beyond Egypt's borders. Stay close, because what comes next will prove that this symbol is not just ancient history, it is an eternal riddle still shaping the present. Picture this: a torchlit tomb, sealed for thousands of years, its walls whispering in silence. As explorers break through the stone, their lights fall upon a familiar shape, the Ankh, carved in places no one had expected. It wasn't merely painted on temple walls or worn on jewelry. It was hidden in the deepest chambers, as if guarding secrets meant only for the chosen. Why would a symbol of life be concealed in the land of the dead? The answer may lie in truths too dangerous for ordinary eyes. Some say the Ankh was not only a symbol, but a key, an actual key. Imagine it fitting into locks long since crumbled, doors that led not to treasure, but to chambers of knowledge. Ancient texts hint at the breath of Ra, a force the Ankh could summon. Was it metaphorical? Or did the Egyptians truly believe they had a tool that could channel cosmic energy? If so, then perhaps the Ankh was never meant for the masses. It was meant for the elite, the guardians of forbidden wisdom. The more we dig, the stranger it gets. In certain depictions, gods press the Ankh against the lips of kings, as though breathing life into them. But what if this act wasn't symbolic at all? Some theorists argue the Ankh could have been part of a ritual, an initiation into hidden knowledge. Could it have been used to induce altered states of consciousness, a way to glimpse eternity itself? The idea is chilling. The Ankh as a doorway, a portal into realities beyond the mortal realm. The intrigue doesn't end in Egypt. When Alexander the Great conquered the Nile, the Ankh traveled into Greek and Roman worlds. Yet curiously, it didn't disappear. It transformed. Early Christians adopted a modified version, the crux ansata, resembling the Ankh but rebranded as their own. Was this mere coincidence? Or was the symbol's power so undeniable that no new religion dared erase it? To take the Ankh was to take its authority, to inherit the keys of eternity. Its shadow, quiet yet persistent, followed into new empires. But here is where the story turns darker. In the hidden annals of history, whispers suggest that secret brotherhoods, groups veiled from the public eye, used the Ankh as their emblem. From alchemists of the Middle Ages to occultists of the Renaissance, the Ankh resurfaced as a mark of initiation. To them, it was not a relic but a cipher, a code for immortality. Imagine shadowed chambers in medieval Europe, candles flickering, as initiates traced the shape of the Ankh into the air, swearing secrecy under penalty of death. The deeper you go, the more the Ankh begins to feel less like a relic and more like a haunting presence. Could it be that the Ankh was not abandoned but hidden? Some scholars suggest the symbol reappears in coded manuscripts, its loop and cross concealed in the margins of secret texts. The Voynich manuscript, still undeciphered, has strange shapes echoing its form. Coincidence? Or evidence that the Ankh's knowledge survived in whispers, waiting for those bold enough to uncover it? Thriller turns to chilling when we trace the Ankh's journey into esoteric magic. In certain grimoires, it appears beside symbols of summoning, as if it were not just for life but for command over unseen forces. The loop may have been seen as the eye, the cross as the tether, together binding what should never be unleashed. Could the Ankh have been misunderstood all along? Was it not a gift of life, but a warning? If so, then those who carried it may have held both salvation and destruction. Even in modern times, the Ankh finds its way into the shadows. From cults that use it in ritual chants to films that portray it as a vampire's charm, its presence. He is everywhere, yet its meaning remains elusive. Pop culture may trivialize it, but behind the veil lies a trail of blood. Secret societies, lost manuscripts, hidden rituals. The Ankh continues to surface where power and secrecy converge. It is almost as if the symbol refuses to die, resurfacing whenever humanity edges too close to forbidden knowledge. Why? Perhaps because the Ankh is more than stone and symbol. Perhaps it is an idea, alive in its own right. Ideas are dangerous. They survive empires, outlive rulers, and slip into the minds of the unsuspecting. The Ankh has become exactly that, an immortal thought. The Egyptians may have carved it in stone, but what they really unleashed was a living myth, one that still grips us today. And if myths can shape reality, then maybe the Ankh is not just remembered, it is still working. And so, we stand at the edge of something unsettling. If the Ankh is truly alive, as symbol, as myth, as secret, what else has it hidden from us? What truths did the Egyptians veil beneath its curves and lines? What forces once harnessed are now waiting to be rediscovered? The answers may be closer than we think, buried not in sand, but in plain sight. Stay with me, for the next revelations will shake the very ground beneath this ancient cross of life. All right? Let's dive deeper, beyond surface mystery, into the beamless, dark, layered, almost conspiratorial depths of the Ankh's journey. This part will feel like peeling back ancient veils to reveal what was never meant to be spoken. The further we search, the clearer one truth becomes. The Ankh was never meant to be fully understood by all. It was a layered cipher, simple in form, but infinite in meaning. To the uninitiated, it was a sign of life. To priests, it was ritual power. To rulers, it was legitimacy. But to those behind the veil, it was something else entirely. A symbol so deep that it became dangerous. Knowledge like this does not survive unguarded. Someone had to protect it, or perhaps control it. Ancient texts often mention the keepers of the key, elect groups who held the authority to use the Ankh in ceremonies. These were not ordinary priests. They were gatekeepers of wisdom, believed to carry the secrets of balance between life and death. Imagine the weight of that burden, knowing how to guide souls, how to harness the cycle of eternity. But if they controlled life and afterlife, then who controlled them? Was Egypt itself ruled not by pharaohs, but by hidden custodians of the Ankh's power? The deeper we look, the stranger the echoes become. When Egypt fell to Rome, the symbol should have vanished with its gods. Yet it survived, slipping into the language of Christianity as the crux ansata. The cross with a loop, nearly identical. Why preserve such a symbol if its meaning were innocent? Some suggest the Church adopted it not to honor Egypt, but to absorb its authority. To carry the Ankh was to carry credibility with the masses. Was this preservation or quiet theft of divine identity? Even in alchemy, the Ankh makes curious appearances. Medieval manuscripts describe the quest for the elixir of life, the philosopher's stone said to grant immortality. And there, in the margins, appear symbols resembling the Ankh. Could this mean the alchemists were continuing an Egyptian legacy, searching for the same eternal spark? The possibility chills the blood. If the Ankh was indeed a formula disguised as art, then the quest for immortality was not legend, it was inheritance. The symbol's loop takes on a darker hue when considered as a portal. Some mystics claimed it represented the opening of the soul, a doorway to realms unseen. But a doorway swings both ways. What did they invite through? Were the priests of Egypt communicating with gods, or with something less divine, entities from beyond human comprehension? The silence of history leaves only shadows, but the suggestion lingers. The Ankh may have been less about worship, and more about contact. In the deserts of Egypt, certain hieroglyphs show the Ankh not alone, but paired with the Djed pillar and the Waz scepter, symbols of stability and dominion. Together, they form a triad of control, life, power, and order. But ask yourself, why combine them? Could it be that the Ankh was not complete on its own, that it was one piece of a greater puzzle, a trinity of forces meant to balance the cosmos? And if separated, perhaps it leaves the world fractured, incomplete. This may explain why the Ankh resurfaces across time. From Gnostic texts to secret orders of the Renaissance, it reappears as if refusing to be buried. But here lies the unsettling question. Who keeps bringing it back? Symbols do not travel on their own. Someone, some group, carried it, preserved it, and reintroduced it. Across centuries, its survival seems too deliberate to be chance. Could an unbroken chain of guardians still exist, shepherding the Ankh's secret knowledge into our age? Whispers of this chain appear in places you would least expect. In certain Masonic lodges, early documents bear sketches resembling the Ankh. In Rosicrucian texts, it hides beneath layers of allegory. Even in modern occult traditions, the Ankh is invoked as a symbol of eternal life force. The same shape, the same power, moving silently through secret corridors of history. Was it faith that kept it alive, or conspiracy? Here is where the depth becomes dangerous. If the Ankh is more than a symbol, if it is indeed a key, then what does it unlock? Legends speak of hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, libraries of forgotten wisdom sealed from the world. Could the Ankh have been designed not to symbolize eternity, but to open the doors to it? A literal key of life, left behind for when humanity was ready, or reckless enough, to use it. The silence of the desert may not be silence at all, but waiting. And as we stand at this threshold, one thought refuses to leave. Perhaps the Ankh's greatest power lies not in what it meant to the ancients, but in what it still means now. From secret brotherhoods to modern seekers, from dusty tombs to neon-lit streets, the Ankh endures as more than heritage. It is an invitation. But to accept it is to risk uncovering truths that shake the foundations of existence itself. In the next chapter we go further still into the shadows where history, myth, and conspiracy blur. Beneath the blazing Egyptian sun, archaeologists have searched for centuries, yet some secrets refuse to rise from the sand. Whispers persist of hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, sealed doors beneath temples, and labyrinths stretching for miles underground. Strangely, many ancient inscriptions suggest that the Ankh was not only a symbol, but also a guide, an emblem pointing toward these hidden vaults. If the Ankh is truly a key, then what exactly are these chambers hiding? Could it be that the answers have been waiting in silence, just beyond our reach? Legends tell of the Hall of Records, a mythical library said to contain the wisdom of lost civilizations, Atlantis, Lemuria, and even cultures we have no names for. The Egyptians themselves hinted at knowledge inherited, not invented. Some believe the Ankh was their way of preserving this inheritance, a cryptic reminder of truths too vast to write openly. If such a hall exists, perhaps the Ankh was its passcode, its eternal signature. Imagine the terror and the wonder of opening doors untouched for millennia, only to find truths that rewrite human history. There is also the question of the pyramids themselves. For centuries, scholars debated their true purpose: tombs, temples, or something far greater. Inside, the Ankh appears in carved reliefs and painted murals. Could the pyramids have been giant energy devices, and the Ankh the symbol, or two, that unlocked their function? Some theorists argue the Ankh represented not just life, but the harnessing of energy itself, solar, cosmic, or even dimensional. To see the Ankh as simple art may be to underestimate a civilization that thought in terms far beyond our own. The intensity grows when we consider the Nile. Many scholars note that the Ankh's shape may mirror the river's path, its life-giving waters flowing into the fertile delta. But what if the design was not just geographic, but cosmic? Could the Nile have been seen as a reflection of the Milky Way, a river of life above and below? In this interpretation, the Ankh becomes a star map, a way of aligning heaven and earth. If true, it suggests the Egyptians were mapping not only their world, but the very structure of existence. But not all interpretations are so poetic. Some ancient sources describe rituals where the Ankh was central, rituals not of life, but of resurrection. Imagine priests gathering in the dead of night, chanting incantations, raising the Ankh over the body of the fallen. Was this symbolic, or did they truly believe it could restore breath to the dead? If so, the Ankh becomes not a key to eternity, but a weapon against mortality itself, a forbidden act that might explain why its secrets were buried so deeply. The most unsettling accounts suggest that the Ankh could open gateways. In certain magical texts, the Ankh is paired with phrases about walking between worlds. What worlds? The afterlife? Other dimensions? The implications are chilling. If the Ankh was a portal, then perhaps the priests were not just praying to gods, they were speaking with them face to face. And if such a doorway exists, then what else might have stepped through? The silence of history may be less about ignorance and more about fear. Fast forward to modern times, and the Ankh still appears in strange places. Secret societies claim to guard its hidden meanings, yet fragments leak into public view. In certain occult circles, it is used in rituals meant to draw power, wisdom, even contact with entities unseen. Its shape appears in coded diagrams, esoteric charts, and architectural designs across Europe. Could it be that the Ankh's guardians never vanished, only changed their masks? Priests replaced by alchemists, alchemists replaced by secret orders that exist even now. This is where the intensity sharpens into unease. What if the Ankh is not a symbol of eternity, but a warning? Ancient Egyptians may have revered it, yes, but what if they also feared it? Its presence in tombs, its centrality in rituals, its link to gods who ruled over death, all of it could suggest caution. Perhaps the Ankh was a seal, a barrier against forces that humanity should never unleash. To misunderstand it as a trinket of life might be our greatest mistake. And yet, the Ankh endures, worn proudly, tattooed, displayed in pop culture as if it were harmless. But behind its elegant shape lurks a history of secrecy, a trail of whispers, a shadow that stretches from the pyramids to the present. It is almost as though the symbol itself has a will, resurfacing whenever humanity inches too close to the mysteries of existence. Is the Ankh guiding us, or luring us? As our journey reaches its midpoint, the story grows darker, sharper, more dangerous. For the next revelations won't just explore history. They will confront us with the possibility that the Ankh is not a relic at all, but a living key still waiting to be turned. The question that remains is chilling. Who will dare to use it, and what price will be paid? For thousands of years, the Ankh slept in tombs and temples, its meaning obscured by sand and silence. But some argue it never truly disappeared. It was simply hidden in plain sight. Look closely, and you'll see its shape woven into architecture, secret insignias, and symbols of power scattered across the modern world. Could the Ankh be more than an ancient relic? Could it be the silent emblem of an invisible hand that has guided humanity from the shadows? Consider this. During the Renaissance, when Europe awakened to art, science, and hidden wisdom, the Ankh re-emerged in esoteric manuscripts. It appeared in secret societies whose influence stretched far beyond what history books admit. Some of these groups claimed descent from Egyptian priests, guardians of knowledge too dangerous for kings and popes alike. Their members were philosophers, scientists, and rulers who shaped nations. If they carried the Ankh as their hidden symbol, what unseen influence did it wield over the birth of the modern world? The trail becomes darker when we notice its presence in unexpected places. The seal of certain organizations, coded patterns in corporate logos, even hidden within the designs of government buildings. Coincidence? Or deliberate preservation? Imagine the possibility that the Ankh has been carried forward not as decoration, but as a signal between those who know. A signal that says, we still hold the key. But why? Why would the Ankh matter to modern power brokers? Perhaps because it represents what they crave most: control over life, death, and eternity. To possess the Ankh's secret is to command loyalty, fear, and hope. If it truly holds knowledge of life beyond death, or the manipulation of unseen forces, then it would be the ultimate prize. Wars have been fought for less. Could it be that entire empires were built, toppled, and rebuilt in the shadow of this ancient symbol? Some conspiracy researchers whisper of a hidden lineage, a bloodline tracing back to Egyptian high priests, preserving the Ankh's secrets across generations. Whether myth or truth, it fuels a chilling idea that the Ankh's power is not lost, but carefully safeguarded. If so, who are its keepers today? Are they nameless figures in boardrooms and governments, or do they move silently behind masks, influencing leaders while remaining unseen? The suspense deepens when you realize we might never know until it's too late. Clues scatter across history like breadcrumbs. Napoleon's soldiers during their Egyptian campaign were said to have stumbled upon strange artifacts, some linked to the Ankh. Rumors claim that certain treasures never made it into museums. Instead, they vanished into private collections, guarded by secret hands. Was this coincidence, or evidence of a deliberate effort to control the Ankh's legacy? If even a fraction of this is true, then history itself has been edited to keep its true power hidden. And here lies the high suspense. What if the Ankh is not symbolic at all, but functional? What if it represents a science lost to time, something our ancestors understood and we have forgotten? If secret societies, governments, or elites have pieces of this knowledge, then humanity may not be as free as it believes. What if our lives, our deaths, even our beliefs about eternity are being shaped not by chance, but by the guardians of a symbol etched thousands of years ago? Imagine for a moment that the Ankh is not just a symbol, but a mechanism. Its loop an antenna, its cross a conductor. Could it have been an instrument for channeling energy, unlocking doors, or even extending life? If so, then those who possess it hold an advantage beyond imagination. And what if, even now, experiments are being conducted in secret labs, reviving knowledge thought lost? Would we ever be told the truth, or would it be concealed, as it has been for centuries? The chilling part is that history's greatest mysteries often hide in plain sight. From Washington to Rome, from London to Paris, the Ankh's form lingers, quietly, patiently. Not as a relic, but as a constant reminder that something eternal watches from the shadows. And those who notice it often find themselves silenced, their theories dismissed, their discoveries buried. WW's. Such fear over a mere symbol, unless of course it isn't mere at all. And so we arrive at the edge of revelation. The Ankh, carved in stone and whispered in secrets, may not belong to the past. It may belong to the present. Perhaps it always has. But what happens if the symbol is turned from symbol to function, from icon to weapon? What happens if the guardians decide it is time to use the key once again? The suspense lingers like the desert night, heavy with the weight of something waiting to be revealed. For centuries, whispers of the Ankh's true power have haunted scholars and seekers. But what if those whispers were never myth? What if, in secret laboratories and hidden research centers, the Ankh's secrets are being pursued even now? The idea may sound like fiction, yet fragments of evidence suggest otherwise. From strange experiments in longevity to shadowy biotech firms with unexplained funding, signs point toward a chilling possibility. The quest for eternal life has never ended. The Ankh may be more than an ancient memory. It may be the blueprint. Across history, rulers dreamed of outliving their empires. From pharaohs to emperors, kings to dictators, power always came with one inevitable fear: death. The Ankh promised release from that fear. And though the sands of time swallowed Egypt's glory, the symbol survived, passed hand to hand, like a torch of forbidden knowledge. Today, whispers say it rests in vaults guarded by organizations that officially deny its existence. Why guard a harmless relic? Unless, of course, it is not harmless at all. Suspense sharpens when we confront modern science. Genetic research now stretches the boundaries of life itself, extending cells, altering DNA, slowing the clock of mortality. What if these breakthroughs are not new discoveries, but rediscoveries? Echoes of knowledge once held by Egyptian priests, now hidden in laboratories cloaked in secrecy. If the Ankh represented a formula, a process, or a lost technology, then perhaps the scientists of today are not inventing, merely reviving. And if so, who decides who receives this gift? Imagine for a moment a group of powerful individuals, wealthy beyond measure, connected across nations, holding the Ankh not as a symbol, but as a plan. Their resources endless, their motives hidden. Would they share immortality with the world? Or would they hoard it, building dynasties that stretch not for centuries, but forever? In such hands, the Ankh ceases to be a symbol of life. It becomes a tool of domination. Eternal rulers, eternal empires. A chilling thought. What if they already walk among us? The suspense turns darker when we consider the cost. What if immortality is not free? What if the Ankh's promise comes with a price? One that ancient Egyptians understood but dared not reveal. Some legends speak of balance, that for one life extended, another must be taken. Could it be that the Ankh was never meant to grant eternity, but to shift it, to transfer it? If true, then the hunt for eternal life may not save humanity at all. It may doom it. There are unsettling hints scattered in art and literature. Medieval paintings depict strange cross-shaped keys, glowing in the hands of saints and angels. Renaissance texts whisper of immortal patrons who walked in shadows, advising rulers and guiding wars. Was this allegory or memory? The Ankh, rebranded, disguised, hidden in brushstrokes and ink, may have been there all along. Its truth preserved in the only way possible, coded, waiting for those who could recognize it. Now picture this. A hidden meeting in some quiet corner of the world. Not a temple, not a tomb, but a sleek boardroom with glass walls overlooking a city skyline. Inside, a circle of powerful figures, their words unrecorded, their faces unknown to the public. On the table, etched into a document or carved into an artifact, lies the shape of the Ankh, the past colliding with the present, the symbol of life, once carved in stone, now whispered in strategy sessions that shape nations. And here's the most unnerving thought. What if the Ankh has already been activated? What if experiments hidden from the world have already crossed the threshold? The sudden fortunes of certain individuals, their strange vitality, their unnaturally long lives, are they coincidence or the fruits of secrets rediscovered? History is full of figures who appeared ageless, powerful, untouchable. Could the Ankh be the common thread linking them all? The desert winds once carried the Ankh's promise of eternity across the Nile. Now, in whispers and shadows, it travels through encrypted files, hidden vaults, and unspoken agreements. Its promise has not changed, but its keepers have. Once priests, now power brokers. Once pharaohs, now elites cloaked in modern clothing. Yet the hunger remains the same, to conquer time itself. And in that hunger lies the greatest danger of all. As we close this chapter, the suspense is unbearable. If the Ankh is truly the key of life, then humanity stands at the edge of its most dangerous choice. Do we unlock its secrets, risking consequences we cannot control? Or do we leave it buried in the sands of history, safe but forgotten? The story is not over. The Ankh's shadow stretches into the future, and in the next part, we will face the chilling possibility that its time is coming again. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt lies a secret waiting to awaken. Ancient texts whisper that when the world reaches a time of crisis, the Ankh will rise again, not as symbol, but as reality. The priests of old believed history was a cycle, not a line. Every empire falls, and from its ashes something returns. Could we be standing at that threshold now, where the Ankh is no longer myth, but prophecy unfolding? In fragmented hieroglyphs, buried deep in forgotten tombs, a message repeats. The key will open when the world is dying. What did they mean? Environment, Tal collapse, endless wars, diseases spreading unchecked. Our age echoes those ominous words. Was the Ankh designed to reappear in moments like these, a last salvation, or the final temptation? Suspense thickens when we realize we may be living inside the prophecy the ancients feared. Archaeologists whisper of chambers not yet opened beneath the pyramids. Some claim satellites have detected anomalies, hollow spaces where no doors should exist. Rumors swirl of officials suppressing findings, keeping discoveries out of the public eye. What if one of those hidden chambers contains the Ankh, not carved on walls, but as an object, intact, waiting? And if it is waiting, who will reach it first? The seekers of truth, or the hunters of power? Legends outside Egypt deepen the suspense. From South America to Asia, cultures speak of keys of life, gates between worlds, sacred tools that echo the Ankh's design. Were these coincidences, or remnants of a shared ancient knowledge spread across lost civilizations? If so, then Egypt may not have been the origin, but the guardian. Guardianship is a burden, and perhaps their greatest fear was that the guardianship would one day fail. And what of prophecy's darker side? Some traditions suggest the Ankh is not only a key to life, but a seal holding something back. If broken, if misused, it could unleash forces beyond comprehension. Imagine a door not into paradise, but into chaos. Imagine priests not worshipping the Ankh, but restraining it, praying that no hand would ever dare turn the lock. Could the resurgence of the symbol in our culture today be a warning that the seal is weakening? Suspense grows unbearable when we examine global patterns. Across the world, ancient symbols are resurfacing, drawn into art, fashion, media, almost as if the past is leaking into the present. But is this resurgence organic or orchestrated? Could the reappearance of the Ankh be deliberate, a sign from those who know its time has come? If so, then we are not just bystanders. We are participants in a hidden countdown. Some researchers claim the Ankh is linked to astronomical cycles, alignments of stars, returns of forgotten constellations. According to this view, the Ankh is not only a key but a clock, and that clock is ticking. When it strikes a certain moment, when stars align as they did in the age of the pharaohs, the Ankh's power may unlock itself. The question is, will we be ready, or will we be consumed by what it reveals? Picture this. A vast underground chamber unopened for millennia. Torches flicker, dust stirs, and in the center stands an object untouched by time, the Ankh, glowing faintly, humming as if alive. Imagine the heartbeat of eternity vibrating through stone, echoing against the silence of forgotten tombs. If such a discovery is real, it would not just rewrite history, it would reset the future. But at what cost? What chills us most is not what we know, but what we don't. If powerful groups already control fragments of the Ankh's secret, what happens when the full truth emerges? Will they unleash it for their own gain? Or will the world itself awaken to forces beyond any government or society's control? The suspense is unbearable because the question is no longer if, but when. And here lies the razor's edge. The Ankh may not be waiting to be found. It may already be stirring. The symbol, the whispers, the resurfacing across culture, all could be signals of an awakening that no one can stop. The highest suspense is this. Humanity is on the brink of discovering whether the Ankh will save us or destroy us. The sands tremble, though not from wind. Deep underground in vaults never meant for mortal eyes, a revelation waits. Imagine the moment. A sealed chamber cracks open, and the stale air of 5,000 years rushes out. Torches flare. Scientists, soldiers, and silent men in black suits step forward. In the center, upon a pedestal carved from obsidian, rests the Ankh, not drawn, not painted, but forged, real, tangible, humming with a resonance that feels like the heartbeat of eternity itself. The air vibrates, instruments fail. Electronic devices flicker as though reality itself is bending. The Ankh glows faintly, a pulse of light echoing in rhythm with the onlooker's own heartbeats. One step closer, and time feels distorted. Seconds stretch like hours, breaths drag like centuries. It is not an artifact, it is alive. And as those present stare in silence, one thought claws its way into their minds. This is not ours. It never was. The lead researcher reaches out. Fingers hover inches from the loop. A silence descends, so heavy it drowns even thought. The moment contact is made, the chamber erupts in blinding light. Walls shimmer with hieroglyphs that were never carved, symbols appearing and disappearing as if projected from another dimension. The Ankh sings, not in sound, but in vibration, a resonance felt in bone and blood. It is not a symbol of life. It is life. Pure, unfiltered, overwhelming. Screams echo as some collapse, clutching their chests. Others laugh hysterically as though glimpsing visions no human should see. One soldier whispers of hearing voices, thousands of voices, chanting in a language older than time. The Ankh pulses again, and a fissure cracks across the chamber floor. Not just stone splitting, but reality itself. Through the fissure, for a heartbeat, glimpses of stars unseen by modern eyes flicker. A doorway is opening. But where does it lead? The priests called it the key to eternity. But eternity is not paradise. It is infinite. And infinity is terrifying. Those who stare too long into the fissure see not heavens, but endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Faces they do not know yet somehow remember. Lives they never lived yet feel as their own. Time collapses, and identity shatters. The Ankh does not give life. It shows the truth of life, endless, unbroken, inescapable. Panic ensues. Soldiers try to remove it, to lock it away, but the Ankh resists, heavier than its form should allow, as though anchored to something unseen. One man dares to lift it, and his scream is unlike anything human. His body convulses, then stiffens, eyes wide, unblinking. He stands frozen, neither alive nor dead, as if caught between worlds. The Ankh pulses once more, and he vanishes into nothing. Now terror replaces awe. The chamber shakes violently, dust falling like rain. Ancient inscriptions light up in sequence, forming words that chill the blood. The key is not for the unworthy. The priests knew. They warned. The Ankh was never meant to be touched by mortal hands. Yet here it is, awakened again, and its judgment is merciless. The fissure grows. From within, a light bursts forth, but this light is wrong, cold, infinite, piercing. Figures shimmer in the glow, tall and faceless, reaching toward the chamber. Whether gods, guardians, or something far darker, no one dares find out. Some flee, others fall to their knees, worshipping in blind terror. The air is thick with the weight of something humanity was never meant to see. Above, the world begins to tremble. Reports flood in of strange lights in the skies, of compasses spinning wildly, of tides shifting unnaturally. Something has been triggered, not just in Egypt, but across the planet. The Ankh is awake, and its power is rippling outward. The line between myth and reality has shattered. Humanity has crossed the threshold. There is no going back. As the chamber collapses, one truth becomes undeniable. The Ankh was not a gift. It was a test, a seal, a warning etched in eternity itself. And now, in mankind's hunger for secrets, the door has been opened. What steps through may not be life, but something beyond it, something eternal, unstoppable, and indifferent to whether humanity survives the encounter. The chamber collapses, but the story doesn't end there. Survivors crawl from the dust, eyes wide, breaths ragged. Some whisper of visions too vast to comprehend, others remain silent, haunted, broken by what they've seen. Above them, the night sky blazes unnaturally bright, as if the stars themselves have awakened. The Ankh is no longer buried. It is alive, moving silently through time, choosing where to reveal itself next. In the aftermath, governments deny everything. Reports vanish. Witnesses disappear. The official story, a minor collapse, nothing more. But whispers spread online, fragments of video, corrupted files showing flashes of the impossible, light spilling from stone, shadows moving where no human stood. The silence of authority feels less like ignorance and more like fear. They know the truth. They always have. Historians begin to piece together patterns. Wars fought over relics, empires collapsing after mysterious discoveries, leaders obsessed with immortality. All threads lead back to the Ankh. Was it always the hidden hand, shaping the rise and fall of nations? Perhaps humanity's history has not been written by chance, but by encounters with this eternal key. Encounters always ending in fire, collapse, and silence. The intensity deepens when whispers claim the Ankh has surfaced again, this time not in Egypt, but in secret laboratories across the globe. Researchers speak of breakthroughs in energy, genetics, and quantum physics that feel unnatural, as if knowledge lost to time has returned. And yet, none dare speak its name. The Ankh is no longer just a symbol. It is an infection of truth, spreading quietly through the veins of civilization, but the warning remains. Ancient texts spoke of balance, of the Ankh as both giver and destroyer. It does not choose sides. It does not distinguish between saint and tyrant. It simply opens the door, and those who walk through must face what lies beyond, whether eternity, void, or something far darker. Humanity's greatest fear may not be death, but what happens when death itself is no longer certain. Imagine for a moment that the Ankh is in your hands. The loop glows faintly, warm, alive. You feel the pull of eternity, the promise of power, the terror of infinity. Would you dare to use it? Would you risk opening a door that cannot be closed? This is the final question the Ankh whispers. How much is eternity worth to you? And yet, the symbol continues to appear, tattooed on skin, hung from necklaces, painted in graffiti, etched into stone. It is as though humanity cannot let it go, even if it means inviting its return. The Ankh lingers like a shadow at the edge of history, watching, waiting, eternal. Perhaps it is not we who carry it, but it that carries us. As the suspense reaches its end, one truth settles like the desert night. The Ankh has never belonged to Egypt alone. It belongs to existence itself. Life, death, rebirth. It is the cycle none can escape, the pattern carved into the stars and written in every heartbeat. The Ankh does not promise immortality. It promises reality, raw, infinite, undeniable. And so the story closes not with certainty, but with unease. Somewhere, buried or revealed, hidden or in plain sight, the Ankh endures, perhaps in the hands of the powerful, perhaps in the dust, waiting for the next seeker reckless enough to claim it. But one thing is certain, it will return. It always returns. As the final echo fades, we are left with a haunting realization. The Ankh is not just a relic of the past. It is the mirror of our future. It waits, silent and eternal, daring us to reach for it. And maybe, just maybe, the question is not whether humanity will use it, but whether humanity will survive it.